Chapter 12, Key Issue 1. Done by Sepral, aka me. Where a service is distributed. A service is an activity that fulfills any human want/need in exchange for money because capitalism. The number one situation factor for services is proximity to market because the easier the consumer can access the service, the more likely they are to actually use it. Services are in the tertiary sector of the economy, and it has three subdivisions: consumer, business, and public services. Consumer services are given to individuals who want it and can afford it. Its four subdivisions are retail and wholesale, education, health, and leisure. Business services help provide resources for the activities of a business. Its four subdivisions is professional, which is anything with the law, engineering, or management; transportation, which deals with trucking and warehousing; finance, which uses the acronym FIRE; and information deals with broadcasting news outlets. Public services provide security and protect both individuals and businesses. The distribution of service jobs are clustered at more developed countries because they have the population that can actually afford services. A settlement is a collection of buildings where people reside, work, and use services. In recent years, the US and most other more developed countries have seen primary and secondary sector jobs go down, but tertiary sector jobs go up, which is the service sector. Anyways, that's it for Key Issue 1. I'm passing the phone to whoever's next.
Chapter 12, Key Issue 2. It's me now. Let's go. Central place theory. Walter Christaller, I think that's how you say his last name, came up with a theory in the 1930s. The central place theory explains how the most profitable location can be identified for a service. But what is a central place? Well, it is the market center, or a market center, for the exchange of goods and services by people from the market area or hinterland. Market area, previously mentioned, is the area surrounding a service from which customers are attracted from. This is an example of a nodal region from like chapter 1 or 2. The range is the max distance people are willing to travel to use a service. Short distances are used for everyday consumer services, and also people tend to go to the nearest available service. The range is also determined by the radius of an irregular circle. They take into account the territory from which the site is closer than its competitors, and people tend to think of distance as a measurement of time. We look at the threshold of a service, the minimum number of people needed to support the service. After finding the range, potential customers are further counted to check if a location is suitable for the proposed service. These potential customers depend on what the product is. For example, amusement parks attract families with children, whereas nightclubs appeal to singles. Some stores may only count higher income people because of their likeliness to spend more and purchase items that carry higher profit margins. Geometry of market areas. Geographers use hexagons to represent market areas because circles are equidistant but they overlap and leave gaps. However, squares don't leave gaps but they aren't equidistant. Here in the hexagon compromise, we see the equidistance are all around the hexagon and how they don't leave gaps in between each other. Rank size distribution of settlements. The rank size rule is the country's nth largest settlement is 1n the population of the largest settlement. The pattern here indicates that there's enough wealth within the country that allows the provisions of goods and services throughout it. We can see this in the Americas. The primate city rule is the largest settlement in a country has more than twice as many people as the second ranking settlement. This pattern indicates a lack of wealth in the society to pay for a full variety of services. We do see this in developing countries as well, like over here in Europe. Nesting of services and settlements. To build on what we previously said before, the central place theory also says that market areas across a developed country look like hexagons unless interrupted by physical features. Within developed countries, they have many small settlements with small thresholds and ranges, rather than large settlements with large thresholds and ranges. Market areas are defined in 4 different levels: hamlets, villages, towns, and then cities. Here's what the central place theory would look like in developing countries defined by hexagons. We can see this in North Dakota. They have a large city with 48,000 inhabitants, which is one of the only settlements with a Walmart. Within this city, you have some small towns, some more villages, and many more hamlets. In small settlements, you can only find consumer services with small thresholds, small market areas, and short ranges. Here we can see the previously mentioned city with all the small towns, villages, and all the tiny little hamlets that are located within it. Profitability of a location. We use range and threshold to locate the profit. Continuing with locating this profit, we use 4 different steps. The first one is defining the market area. This is usually defined as the zip codes where a majority of the customers live. Using the zip codes of these customers and credit card customers, range can be effectively estimated. For example, 15 minutes for a store like Family Dollar or 30 minutes for a store like Target. To step 3, estimating the threshold. The threshold varies for each service. People are only counted if they have sufficient income to shop there regularly. For example, the Family Dollar store only requires 25,000 customers compared to a Target, which requires 100,000 customers. The last step is to predict the market share. We know that the proposed new service, will have to share consumers with its other competitors, so geographers use the analog method. They identify one or more existing stores in the locations that are similar to the location of the proposed store and use the market share of that store as the proposed store. The gravity model. Sorry about the wild text, but it measures the level of interaction between a person and a service, predicting that the optimal location of a service is directly related to the number of people in the area, which is also inversely related to the distance people must travel to access it. It says that the best location is one that minimizes distance that all potential customers must travel. The gravity model also follows 2 patterns. The greater number of people in a particular place means the greater number of potential customers. The further people are from a service, the less likely they are to use it. At some point, the distance can be too great to yield interaction from customers. Periodic markets are a collection of individual vendors that come together and offer goods and services in a location on specific days. Services in these markets are on the lower end of the central place hierarchy. They provide goods and services to developed countries and regions that can't support full-time retailing. These vendors can be on mobile trucks and travel from farm to market to farm again and back to a different market. Other vendors don't travel and operate part-time. The frequency of markets vary by culture or follow a pattern related to the lunar cycle. We have a periodic market example here, which is the farmer's market. Sharing services. These are services that involve sharing, that have expanded rapidly, especially in transportation and lodging. Ride-sharing services like Uber and Lyft compete with taxis for customers. Ride-sharing services are also called differently. Taxis can be called via phone, or what you see in movies, the hit or miss process of flagging one while you're on the street. Lyft and Uber are summoned by the smartphone app. And that's the...
3, 2, 1.
Hi, my name is Estella, and I will be doing Kyushu 3 of Chapter 12. So, where are business services distributed? Well,
global cities play an important role in global business services. A global city is a major center of the provision of services in the global economy. 3 big concentrated business services in global cities are financial institutions, headquarters of large corporations, and lawyers, accountants, and other professional services. Global cities attract the HQs of major banks, insurance companies, and financial institutions. Examples of these are the Bank of America and San Diego County Credit Union. Large corporations have HQs in global cities where their shares are traded on stock exchanges. Professional services provide advice to corporations and financial institutions. Advertising agencies assist corporations in influencing changes in consumer taste and trends.
Bucket.
Global cities offer a wide range of consumer services with a concentration of luxury products due to their rich residents. They also provide significant leisure services, including theaters, concerts, museums, and sporting events. Additionally, global cities serve as political centers.
Dang it.
Cities are categorized into 3 levels: alpha, beta, and gamma. This hierarchy of business services can be applied within individual countries. The US has a combination of factors that are used to rank global cities: economic, political, cultural, infrastructure, communication, and transportation factors.
Better quality. Anyway, offshore financial services are found in small countries. They exploit global capital circulation by offering tax advantages and privacy. Bank secrecy laws allow people to evade disclosure in their home countries. They serve as havens for people facing legal issues. They attract tax dodgers and facilitate illegal schemes, and various organizations maintains lists of offshore financial centers including UK dependencies, other countries' dependencies, independent island countries, and non-island independent countries. Business process outsourcing involves relocating back office functions such as payroll management to peripheral regions. Traditionally, these functions were housed downtown for proximity, but rising rent has created relocation to lower rent areas facilitated by improved communications. Developing countries attract back offices due to 2 labor-related reasons: low wages and English proficiency. Back office workers in LDCs earn lower wages than in MDCs, but is still higher than the other 2 sectors. Examples are India, Malaysia, and the Philippines have a substantial English-speaking workforce, giving them an advantage to attract English-speaking markets. Economic activities in a settlement can be divided into 2 types: basic businesses, which export primarily to customers outside the settlement, and non-basic businesses, which serve primarily customers living in the same settlement.
Hey, damn, this chocolate is so good.
An economic base is a unique cluster of basic businesses in a settlement. It determines the flow of money into the local economy and stimulates more non-basic services. This timeline works like this. First, new basic businesses attract new workers to a settlement. Second, the new workers bring their families with them. And third, new non-basic services are open to meet the needs of the new workers and their families. The distribution of talent among cities is uneven. Some have a higher concentration of talented individuals, like scientists. Attracting them is important because they initiate new businesses and bring ideas to the economy. Job opportunities and financial incentives play a role in attracting talent in certain cities. For example, San Francisco, San Jose, and New York attracted 1/3 of growth in tech jobs between 2013 to 2015. Many talented individuals say the enticement to working in a location is cultural rather than economic. Now that is the end of Key Issue 3.
Hello, my name is Jade, and I'm doing Key Issue 4 for Chapter 12. Are you done?
Yep,
That's it? There are 2 different kinds of rural settlements, clustered and dispersed settlements. Clustered is when a large number of families all live together along with any building surrounded by fields. There are 2 different clustered settlements, circular and linear. Dispersed settlements are when people live isolated from each other in other settlements. When people still lived as nomads, they established permanent settlements. In those settlements, they provided early customer, public, and business services. Early consumer services. Early settlements may have been created to provide people with a place to bury the dead. This could have encouraged the building of structures. Early public services housed political leaders and defense for the residences. Early business services. Early settlements provided people with the space to trade goods with others. This also led to the creation of currency to keep prices fair. Urbanization is the process by which urban settlements grow. There is an increase in percentage and number of people living in urban settlements. I feel
That was so last minute. I was like, wait, why don't I just know this?
Lois Worth observed that people from urban settlements act different from people from the rural settlements. According to Worth, cities have large size, high population density, and social heterogeneous people. In rural areas, people are typically familiar with each other due to small population and isolation from other communities. In urban areas, most relationships are contractual. Nearly all people who live in MDCs live in urban areas. A megacity is an urban settlement with a total population above 10 million. A metacity is an urban settlement that has a population above 20 million. There are 37 identified megacities, and among those, 11 are metacities. London was the world's largest urban settlement because of the Industrial Revolution. New York then became the largest settlement in the 20th century. Tokyo is the current largest settlement in the 21st century. Developing countries have more of the larger urban settlements. There are 13 LDCs growing more than 4%. 5 are from Africa, 3 are from India, 4 in Asia, and 1 in Latin America. And that's the end of Chapter 12, Kyushu 4! Let me see.
Bye.
Bye! Peace.